Well, first of all, Simon, welcome to Kettering Town Football Club. A really warm welcome to you.
Thank you very much, Paul.
It really has been quite a whirlwind for Kettering Town since the end of the season, and get you in situ eventually has been great for the club.
Yeah, and it's something I'm really looking forward to in due course, of course. When a club like Kettering makes an approach to want to speak to you, as I said earlier, it's taken me back, and it's got such a proud history and many traditions over the 153 years. It really was a surprise, and just to get that awareness of the approach early last week was something that I probably won't ever forget.
Yeah, the owner in particular, I know will be delighted to get you in here. He's very enthusiastic. He's, as is the director of football. They want the best for Kettering Town. They want to prove better than last season. They've got a real good plan for the future of the club, and to be part of that must be something special.
Yeah, of course. We know how important relationships are in any organisation, and as a manager, as a coach, there's hundreds of relationships that need to be fostered, and the focus is always on the players, but to have a strong relationship, aligned relationship with the chairman, with the director of football, with the analysts, with so many, it's just so important. So it's something that obviously in the course of time I'm looking to really initiate and hopefully evolve in due course.
Interesting background you've got involved in cricket at Warwickshire. We had a laugh about that a few moments ago, but from Warwickshire to Malmo to Bran and then to Odense, Stevenage and a West Brom lad at heart. Quite a career.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting when I first heard that Kettering had approached the club. I was at Banbury, and because as a young boy growing up in West Bromwich, the first I knew of Kettering was when Ron Atkinson was manager at West Brom, and as a young lad going to the Hawthorns with my dad, and seeing Ron manage the team at the time in the late 70s, so I'm definitely showing my age, and you know the discussion was who is the manager, who is Ron, and just when my dad sort of saying to me he's been at Cambridge but also he's been at Kettering, and that stuck in my head. And then of course since then there's been other very notable figures in the game that very much for me, even from an early age, has kept Kettering on the map. So it feels a bit surreal to actually be, you know, now talking about the forthcoming season at Kettering.
Champions League with Malmo, that must be an experience to say it all, really.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal 4 years. It came out of my work at the time with the FA. Got the pleasure to work with Roland Nielsen, who was very successful obviously at Coventry and Sheffield Wednesday, an outstanding leader in many ways. How he fostered a team, how he evolved the team, his relationships with the players was special, and when you're in that environment you learn so much about what's good, and you learn from exceptional leaders like Roland. We had a focus, of course, to win things, but he wanted to make everyone better, regardless of their age, regardless of their position in the team, the area of the pitch. His focus was always on maximising the ability of the player, and it was so rewarding to see. Of course, people do see the outcome, but as we all know in sport especially, there's so much hard work that goes into maximising each player. Everyone's an individual, and the person behind the player was something that Roland taught me was so important, and that was the quickest way to improve any player. And just, to enjoy those 4 years with him, with the players, it taught me a lot about coaching, taught me a lot about managing people. It was a tremendous environment, we had 13 nationalities in the team. The undercarriage was relationships, respect, ambition, determination, and to see that bear fruition in some of the most intense games, some of the biggest games that we can all dream about being involved in, really did tell me what was actually important to be a leader. And I look back so many times on those and learn from those experiences, and that for me has now been so influential in how I like to operate, because I think that's crucially important. And it's really evident for me, the more as a football coach, as a manager, that players never always remember what you tell them. They never always remember what you show them, whether it's a tactics board, a TV screen, but they always remember how they feel, and it's so powerful. We're all creatures of emotion, and we're human beings, and the important thing for me as a leader is to understand everyone as a person. We've all got different demands personally, we've all got different demands professionally. We're asking people to be incredibly professional in a semi-professional environment, so respecting everyone's situation is so important, and that will obviously take time, but that for me is at the core of everything I do.
Last season, of course, 5 weeks ago, in fact, you were here, weren't you? Treading the boards at Latimer Park for Banbury. Took 4 points off Kettering in that season, so you know your way around these pitching in Southern League. And of course, now you're in the hot seat at Kettering. First day in the job, let's call it, to a certain extent. A lot of work, a lot of reflection to look on before you can start putting your authority, stamping your imprint on the club. Yeah,
and we're just talking about feeling then. It was an incredible year. It was a year where what we went through, we grew from in many ways, and myself included, of course. And there was certain games, certain moments in the season that you look back and you reflect on, and you ask yourself, did I make the right decision at that time? Did I learn enough from that situation? What did I grow from? It might not have been evident at the time, but it's something that is reinforced in the weeks to come. And when we were here in the last game of the season, I just remember the 1,850 fans, the passion, the intensity of the game. Of course, there was potential riding on the game for Kettering, for the home team.
Well, it was until I think Bedford went 2-0 up, and then we changed it.
Yeah. So there was of course a big expectation on that game, but just to feel the atmosphere was really special, and that's something that I felt. It's something that we felt as a team, and it's really insightful to get that feeling from obviously, as you say, only 5 weeks ago.
Hard work starts now, doesn't it? The fans will be champing at the bit to see what goes on. It's been, all the players have been leaving, and we've not seen too much the other way at the moment. Obviously, we can't talk about player movement because you're in situ for the first day, but it's going to take a little while to sort out, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Paul, you probably know more than me at this stage around the squad. So
don't say that; they'll be phoning me up.
I'm not going to sit here and say something and talk about something I don't know. That is being brutally honest. The next few weeks obviously need to take care of themselves, and as I said, it will be a time of reflection for me in many ways, and hopefully get me as best prepared as possible for when the time is right to actually step forward and start leading and helping the players.
Last season was a very successful season for the Poppies and the Lavs, as you know, FA Cup second round, and runners-up in the league, and losing in that final. What can the fans expect to see from a Simon Hollyhead team this season?
Well, firstly, I think it's important to recognise the contribution Lavs made. I was aware when he took over and obviously fast-tracked that to the outcome of the season. I think as any leader, you can only be judged on the progress that's made from what the cards you were dealt with. So he he definitely put Kettering back on the map. I'm aware of their history in a few years before that and their status. So I'm inheriting the situation from what he'd evolved and achieved. So big respect for that. In terms of, for me, obviously it will take time once I can actually start and we can establish the team and the core group. But I'm very passionate about the expectations that the players actually play to, train towards, and with that comes the consistency in our performance. It's very important that the players have a shared goal. They're very clear on the vision, not because of my current background, but again, I'm really driven towards education, people understanding the learning cycle. So with that in mind, of course, there's an outcome to a game. There's a period where we need to review, plan, prepare again, and that for me will be very evident in the way we play. Hopefully that will shine through with how we're playing and the way we're playing, but we can't really be talking about that with so many weeks to go and before I can really start that process with the players, and also with the games themselves. There's so many variables in the game, but it will be a real common goal with maximum effort, maximum intensity, and I want players to be really focused on being masters of their area of the pitch, and with that our training has to reflect that. And then, like anything, from a real solid foundation, which obviously Lavs has built and really re-established, and any solid foundation, not just from the club but with the playing group, we look to evolve that towards the common goal, which is obviously to win games. And there's many different ways to win games, and we've got to identify with the core group, the common group, the best way of allowing players to maximise their abilities, to feel trusted, to feel empowered, and be absolutely clear on what's expected for the team, but most of all go out there and absolutely enjoy a real connection with the fans, and together I think we all know how powerful that can be, and I'd love nothing more than to see that when eventually I get started and the season kicks into full force.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for that. I'm sure that's given a bit of insight there to the fans that'll be waiting to hear this one, and it'll be out there, rushed out as soon as possible. But brilliant to have you here, Simon. It's going to be real great, I think, to see a different approach to football, and let's hope we're all successful. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.